On the day of the marriage alliance, with the Marquise's manor, a young girl dressed in bright red wedding attire stepped into the manor before me. Only those who aren't loved are lowly like concubines. Even if you are the legal wife, the young Marquis will always have a place for me in his heart. Hearing this, I immediately laughed, turned around, and slapped the young Marquis across the face with my bare hand. Favoring a concubine over the wife, does the Marquis want his entire household executed? On the wedding day, Su Qian wore a fiery red wedding dress, standing in front of the Marquise's manor with a provocative look on her face. So what if you are the legal wife? Your marriage is nothing but a loveless alliance in name only. Chen Rushuang, remember this. The young Marquise's heart will always have me, and can only hold me. By this time, the wedding had been prepared for a long while, and the entrance of the Marquise's manor was packed with guests who came to pay their respects. Among them were not only nobles and wealthy gentry, but also many high-ranking court officials. Everyone exchanged glances, yet all remained remarkably silent, for no other reason than everyone knew the young Marquis Li Liang had a childhood sweetheart, and that was Su Qian. Su Qian was pampered beyond measure, and had moved into the Marquise's manor early on. Aside from lacking the title of legal wife, all her treatment was on par with one. The entire inner court of the Marquise's manor followed Su Qian's lead, and no one dared to go against her wishes. How could I, a madam from a fallen general's household, possibly compare to the apple of Marquis Li Liang's eye? Before long, Li Liang, dressed in festive groom's attire, arrived at the door surrounded by a crowd of people. He first gave me a cold glance, his expression full of impatience. Only when he saw Su Qian in her wedding dress did Li Liang's eyes suddenly light up. But when he looked at me again, his face turned sour once more. The wedding is about to start. What are you still dawdling here for? I sneered coldly and pointed at Su Qian, who was also wearing a red wedding dress. My lord, this person has overstepped her bounds. Li Liang's expression froze for a moment, then turned ugly. Today is a joyous occasion. Why are you still bickering with a young girl? How petty, truly unfit for proper company. But I paid no attention and asked Su Qian with a smile. Do you dare to repeat what you just said? Relying on Li Liang's favor, Su Qian spoke up loudly without hesitation. I said you, Qing Rushuang, are just a decoration for a political marriage. The Marquis only has me in his heart. Before she finished speaking, I raised my hand and slapped her across the face. Slap. I am the daughter of a military general, trained in swords, spears, and staffs since childhood. With just one slap, half of Su Qian's face swelled up. Her originally pitiful little white flower face was instantly disfigured, bruised purple and blue as if half a steamed bun had been forcibly stuffed into her mouth. Su Qian was slapped silly, covering her face with wide eyes, unable to say a single word. I sneered coldly, and with forehand and backhand swings, delivered 5 slaps in a row. The woman in the young Marquise's heart. What a joke. I am hitting precisely the woman in his heart. Just as Su Qian was about to faint on the spot from my slapping, Li Liang finally reacted and grabbed my hand. Xiao Rushuang, have you gone mad? Haven't you caused enough trouble? Qian is just my cousin. She only said a few out-of-line words to defend me. Her cousin. How can you be so wild? You are completely unreasonable. This man really said. She is just my cousin. After his mistress showed up in a wedding dress talking about, he only loves me. So our girl, trained in iron sand palm since childhood, slapped him so hard his face swelled like a steamed bun. Then she pulled out a mountain-splitting axe and chopped the gate. The energy. Your declining noble family should be grateful I am here. She understood the assignment. Never let disrespect slide, especially when you hold all the cards. Absolute legend behavior. Now that they've suffered a loss, suddenly they're just innocent cousins with nothing going on. I watched Li Liang finish speaking with a cold sneer, then quickly walked up to him. In the instant before he could react, I raised my palm and slapped him across the face. Slap, one big slap, and his face immediately swelled up high too. I trained in iron sand palm. When it comes to slapping faces, no one in the entire capital could be my match. I grabbed Li Liang by the collar and cursed right in his face. Your rundown Marquis household really thinks it is something special. If it weren't for my father and brothers charging on the battlefield, earning military merits with their lives that needed someone with a noble title to inherit, when would it ever be your turn? You don't learn anything good, only picking up lowly scheming and underhanded tricks. If you want to sleep with your cousin, just say it outright. No need to hide it, trash. This filthy Marquis manor is so fucking disgusting. In front of everyone's eyes, I pulled out a mountain-splitting axe from the bridal sedan and hacked at the Marquis manor's main gate. Crack. Half of the gate was chopped to pieces by me, and the guests and visitors were all trembling with fear. Li Liang, listen to me carefully. With my father and brother's military achievements, any noble family I choose would treat me like a precious treasure in their palm. It was your Marquis manor that declined. And you came begging me to marry into your family. Don't forget how the old Marquis knelt in the golden hall begging pitifully. Who are you to be picky here? You better get the hell out of my sight. After smashing the Marquis manor's gate, I swaggered in through the main entrance with 20 female soldiers I brought from the military camp. You all better discuss this quickly. If you don't give me an answer, tomorrow, I'll file a complaint to the Emperor and have your Marquis manor raided. After entering the bridal chamber, the group of female soldiers chattered and laughed together. Rushuang, you were so cool and fierce just now, venting anger for all the women in the world. Miss is so domineering. I laughed heartily, sat on the wedding bed with my legs crossed, and removed the red veil from my head. A girl who grew up on the battlefield doesn't have that much pretense. But having high combat power doesn't mean I am a fool who can be toyed with at will. The Marquis manor letting a foster cousin Su Qingqian jump out to cause trouble was, plainly speaking, nothing more than a carefully arranged show of power. Although their Marquis manor had declined, with their businesses withered to almost nothing, they still couldn't let go of their heirs. This time, using the marriage to the daughter of a general who died in battle, they definitely wanted to find a chance to show off. Besides, my father and brother had accumulated many fertile fields and shops, which the Marquis manor family had long set their eyes on. If they could control me, the orphan daughter of the general's manor, they could feast and drink their fill by seizing my inheritance. Wanting to seize my inheritance, too naive. These trash who act like whores yet erect monuments to their chastity. If I don't show them some color, they'll think I am easy to bully. I dare say, this family has already figured out how to use my dowry. Just waiting for Su Qingqian to suppress me, so they can completely devour everything. Their whole family's abacus beads were about to hit my face, but they miscalculated that I, this woman, simply won't be oppressed by feudal dregs. At worst, I'll tear up the marriage contract and go swing a big blade at the front lines. Can the Emperor force an orphan daughter of a general's family with military merits to marry no matter what? His empire would probably become unstable. It was precisely because I calculated this that I dared to chop down the Marquis manor's main gate with a mountain-splitting axe. I bet they can't do anything to me anyway. John Ying, go find out what is happening in the front courtyard. The female soldier took the order and left, returning with news after a long while. The old Marquis has come out and is reassuring the guests. The one handling the inner courtyard matters now is the old madam of the Marquis manor. I guessed that after being ignored for so long, they must be preparing to interrogate me. There might even be someone eavesdropping outside my door right now. This is way too easy to handle. I led a group of female soldiers to curse out the Marquis manor. These wild girls all came from the military camp, and their mouths are nothing like those sheltered noble ladies in the inner chambers. Under the greetings to their ancestors and grandmothers, the Marquis manor's forebears were about to be cursed into oblivion. After quite a while, someone outside the door fell over and scrambled away to pass on the message. Only then did my anger ease by a fraction. Can't take it anymore. Where is that shameless enthusiasm you had when sleeping with your cousin? Why don't you bring that out? Absolutely asking to be cursed out. Feels good after getting roasted. The people in this Marquis manor are just pathetic. The female soldiers burst into laughter, chatting and gossiping cheerfully. But after waiting and waiting, no one came to deal with me even after an hour. Clearly, they were giving me the cold treatment. I knew the Marquis manor couldn't let go of their pride and wanted to get through the wedding first. But how could I possibly let them have their way? I led my people and charged into the main hall, just in time to see a pair of newlyweds bowing to heaven and earth. No need to guess. The woman wearing the red veil pretending to be me was Su Qingqian. First bow to heaven and earth. Wait, the people of the Marquis manor saw me charge in and all shuddered in unison. Cold sweat broke out on Li Liang's forehead. I ripped off the red veil from Su Qian's head in one swift motion, looking at her panicked little face. You dare to fake an imperial marriage decree. That is a crime punishable by execution of 9 generations. Guards, help the Marquis atone for his sins. The female soldiers swarmed in, smashing everything set up for the wedding ceremony, and the scene instantly descended into chaos. The old woman's eyes turned red with anxiety as she clutched my hand and pleaded desperately, Rushuang, Rushuang. This old woman's family has been friends with your Shao family for generations. For my sake, please. Heh, if you had truly treated me well, welcomed me as a bride with mutual respect and courtesy, then I would naturally give you face. But now your whole family has schemed against me together. Your face is worth less than a shoe insole. Smash it. Li Liang, listen carefully. I am giving you 1/4 of an hour to bring that cheap cousin of yours and kneel properly at my door, kowtowing. 100 kowtows each, and if you are short even one, I'll file a complaint with the emperor. The timer starts now. Whether you come or not is up to you. Li Liang's face visibly flushed red, but he was in the wrong first, and was afraid I would really go all out. In less than half a quarter hour, the pair of cheap cousin lovers were already kneeling neatly outside my door. Xiao Rushuang, do you really have to take things this far? I sneered coldly, looking at Li Liang and Su Qingqian beside him, her eyes filled with venomous resentment. I am the one taking things too far. From the moment your gentle and lovely little fairy cousin appeared in front of my wedding sedan, you all had already gone too far. Now, start kowtowing. He kowtows, you count. After he is done, switch. You kowtow, he counts. Their faces alternated between pale and flushed, gritting their teeth but unable to make up their minds. I nodded to the female soldier beside me. Bring out my father and brother's iron-bound imperial edict. If this pair of lowlifes misses even one kowtow, we'll go straight to the imperial court. And so outside the newlywed chamber came the crisp sound of kowtowing, along with the resentful counting of a man and woman. 2-3. After the kowtowing was done, a stack of banknotes was thrown at Su Qingqian's face. Good girl, this is your tip. Say thank you. Su Qingqian was so humiliated she wanted to die. Her eyes rolled back and she fainted completely. The Marquise's household became the biggest joke in the capital. On the wedding day, the whole family thought they could gang up and intimidate me since I was just an orphan girl. They never expected me to easily turn the tables, shoving the boomerang right back into their own mouths. That feeling was even worse than being forced to eat their own shit, but I couldn't care less about the Marquis household's feelings. Happily enjoying my pastries by myself, on the evening of the wedding day, Li Liang came to the newlywed chamber reeking of alcohol, but he was blocked outside by 2 female soldiers holding cleavers. Xiao Rushuang, what is the meaning of this? I am your husband. I heard Li Liang shouting outside the door from inside the room, and with a cold laugh, I pushed open the window. Call you fat and you really start panting. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself properly? Where do you get the confidence to think you can climb into this lady's bed? Li Liang's face turned black as the bottom of a pot, and he turned to leave in anger but was blocked by someone holding a knife. Stand under the eaves, you can only leave when the young miss tells you to. Li Liang was completely enraged, but was pressed down by 2 female soldiers, half kneeling at the doorway, with his head held down. Xiao Rushuang, what exactly do you want? I lazily glanced at him and muttered to myself, the emperor bestowed this marriage. He will definitely monitor whether it is real or not. If the groom sleeps in the guest room on the first night, it will definitely arouse suspicion. Don't look at me like that. I have no interest whatsoever in a scrawny chicken like you. Turn your head away. Looking at your face makes me a bit nauseous. Only after the time it takes to drink a cup of tea did I clap my hands, and the female soldiers finally let Li Liang leave. He cursed as he walked, gnashing his teeth. Crazy woman, Xiao Rushuang. You are just a crazy woman. But one sentence from me made him completely cough up blood. Record in the daily log, young Marquis Li Liang's wedding night, dragon and phoenix in harmony. Duration, 1 cup of tea. The pettiness, she made him kneel outside her door on their wedding night. Let him in for exactly 1 cup of tea's worth of time, then announced to the entire capital that he couldn't perform. Suddenly every gift to the manor became kidney tonics. He couldn't defend himself without admitting the truth, that she never let him near her. This wasn't just revenge, it was strategic warfare. She turned his attempt to humiliate her into his own public emasculation, chef's kiss. The next day, the entire capital was in an uproar. Everyone knew that the young Marquis couldn't perform in that regard. On his wedding night, he eagerly entered the bridal chamber and came out after just 1 cup of tea. Busybodies began making up stories. Hey, have you heard that Miss Xiao from the General's Manor is probably going to be a living widow from now on? The young Marquis can't get it up. I heard the girl's been married for a month and she is still a virgin. Li Liang was so angry he coughed up blood, unable to defend himself. Spreading rumors has never been a weapon exclusive to men. Having been through many battles, I naturally know how to use public opinion. So from that day on, visitors to the Marquise's manor all changed their gift lists. What they sent were all kidney tonifying supplements. The young Marquis can't get it up. He really needs to nourish himself. Seeing that I had established my footing in the Marquise's manor, Su Qinqian got anxious. She first used her old connections to trip me up a few times, then led all the servants in the manor to isolate me. This petty approach was laughable. Like an adult watching little brats play house, that afternoon, I gathered all the servants in the manor and publicly announced the punishments. You few, with sticky fingers, will be sold to slave traders for hard labor. You few, gossiping about the mistress behind her back, will be sold to poor families. And you few, putting filthy things in my food, sold to the brothel to serve clients. The group of servants were all dumbfounded, unable to believe I was so decisive and ruthless. Madam, we won't dare anymore. Please spare us this time. Su Qinqian's face looked as ugly as if she'd eaten shit, her little fists clenched tight. However, the more she was like this, the funnier I found it. And a guest staying at someone else's home really thinks she is the master now. You all remember this, recognize it clearly, see it plainly. Who is the real master of this household? Don't let any random clown jump out and pretend to be somebody. Su Qinqian's eyes turned red with anger, and she ran off to cry to Li Liang with a trembling voice. But she was destined to be wasting her effort for nothing. The entire Marquis manor depends on my dowry to survive. So how would they dare offend their big money source now? Li Liang came to find me, wearing an awkward smile on his face. Rushuang, how about handing over the money you brought to mother for safekeeping? She is better at managing the household. I let out a cold laugh and shot back on the spot. Better at managing the household. And then ran the Marquis manor into the ground like this. Before I came, you all had to scheme for half a day just to eat an egg, right? Li Liang couldn't lift his head after my scolding and slunk out looking dejected. But even so, even a rotten ship still has 3 pounds of nails. Su Qianqian's 18th birthday was coming up soon, and the Marquis manor still scraped together money to prepare a grand celebration. On the day of the ceremony, Su Qianqian happily put on a pink long dress, chirping away like a canary. Brother Li Liang, do you think I look pretty? That cutesy voice was like having just drunk a diabetic's hot piss, sickeningly sweet. Li Liang also had a big smile on his face, looking like a wilted chrysanthemum had bloomed on it. Chen Chen is the most beautiful. Today you are absolutely the main character. Halfway through the ceremony, Li Liang had someone bring out the gift. It was an exquisitely styled golden hairpin, a piece that only the legitimate wife of the Marquise's household was qualified to wear. All the guests in the hall were stealing glances at me, the mockery in their eyes self-evident. See, I told you this Xiao Rushuang isn't favored at all. The young Marquis is openly giving her a hard time. What can she do about it? I heard long ago that this woman doesn't follow proper etiquette. She deserves to be taught a lesson like this. Shu Qian was overwhelmed by the favor. Unable to hide the smugness on her face, she looked at me provocatively and openly put the main wife's golden hairpin on her head. Right after, Su Qinqian, having gained the advantage, still had the nerve to address me publicly. Brother gave me a golden hairpin. So does sister-in-law have any gift for me? Su Qinqian really asked for a gift while wearing the main wife's hairpin, thinking she won. Then Sri Rushuang handed her an imperial decree sending her to marry barbarians at the frontier. Those nomads don't bathe for decades, she said, smiling. When the mistress screamed, just rebel, the devoted cousin knocked her out and threw her in the carriage himself. One move exposed everyone. The fake love, the real priorities, the whole rotten system. Brutal, beautiful, perfect. The provocation in her words was obvious even to a blind person, and the guests were waiting to see a joke. But I just smiled slightly and had someone bring out a tray. How could I not prepare a gift? This was specially prepared for you. Shen, I put a lot of thought into this, so remember to be grateful. Su Shen immediately became interested. But upon opening the tray, she found only a letter. But when she tore open the letter, her face instantly turned pale as paper. Send me for a marriage alliance. I clapped and laughed, announcing loudly to the stunned crowd with a beaming smile. That is right. Through my tireless recommendation, His Majesty has agreed to send our dear Miss Qianqian to the frontier for a marriage alliance. Li Liang nearly exploded on the spot, his eyeballs almost popping out. Xiao Rushuang, what have you done? Su Qianqian is clearly. I looked at him with a cold smile, waiting for the rest of his words to come out. Is what? My dear husband, this cousin of yours wouldn't happen to be your kept woman hidden at home, would she? You are definitely not that kind of person. Otherwise, you'd be too filthy, lowly, shameless, disgraceful, and against all moral principles. If that were the case, could you even be called a human being? That would simply be a beast. If His Majesty finds out, your noble title will be gone, you know. The faces of the entire Marquis household turned like a kaleidoscope from my scolding, going from green to red, and finally turning purple. Su Qinqian let out a shriek and frantically tore the letter to shreds. No, I don't want to go to the frontier for a marriage alliance. Brotherly Lang, save me. However, no matter how much she cried and made a fuss, what came was an imperial decree. An imperial decree of bestowed marriage isn't like the letter I wrote, something you can tear up whenever you want. I looked at Su Qianqian collapsed on the ground and patiently comforted her. Although the frontier is harsh and cold, you are, after all, a noble lady sent for a marriage alliance. Those nomads don't bathe for decades. The fleas brushed off their bodies could fill a whole plate of stir-fry. By then you'll just be one of over 100 consorts, and you might even be given to soldiers as a reward. As I continued speaking, Su Qinqian's expression completely collapsed. She pounded on Li Liang like a madwoman, crying her eyes out. Brother, save me, if you have to, just rebel. Don't send me to a place where even livestock wouldn't go. Li Liang's expression completely changed at her words. He hurriedly knocked his cousin unconscious with a palm strike and stuffed her into the marriage alliance carriage. Qianqian was so overjoyed she went crazy and said some nonsense. Please don't take it to heart. I watched the heartless Li Liang wiping his cold sweat, sneering slightly in my heart. When it came to his own interests, what cousin was all bullshit. Nothing was more important than his own wealth and glory. Li Liang completely fell apart. After Su Qianqian was sent beyond the frontier, I heard she wasn't doing well at all. Those Tibetan princes all had over 100 consorts. How could a Su Qianqian ever be favored? What is more, the news that came back said the frontier royalty discovered the girl they sent was already deflowered, not a virgin. Although the Tibetans didn't care about this, they still felt insulted. Su Qinqian was thrown into the barracks for the soldiers to relieve their stress. When Li Liang got this news, he got completely wasted at a brothel. From then on, he spent every day sleeping with prostitutes, practically making his home in the whores' beds. Before long, he caught syphilis, his whole body covered in syphilitic sores. That day, the servants of the brothel held their noses as they carried the young Marquis of the Marquis Manor back, dumping him on a soft bed at the front gate. By then, Li Liang's illness had already flared up, with large sores covering his face. His entire nose rotted away. He looked at me with trembling lips, pleading, but only received a cold response. Take him inside. Put him in the woodshed. Just give him a bowl of porridge each day. The old Marquis and the old Madam of the Manor came to criticize me one after another, saying I shouldn't treat their son this way. But I covered my mouth and suddenly started dry heaving with nausea. The doctor said I am pregnant, so I won't be attending to the young Marquise anymore. The whole family was instantly overjoyed, treating me like a living Buddha with great delight. Only Li Liang in the woodshed knew that we had never consummated our marriage before. On the day he was dying, I came to see him one last time with a smile. Young Marquis, the woman you loved most, couldn't withstand the 100,000 barbarian troops beyond the frontier. She is already dead. Go down and keep her company after all. She was the woman closest to your heart. Li Liang pointed at my nose in fury, and after a long while, he finally squeezed out 2 words. Vicious woman. I watched him die with eyes wide open, smiling, gently stroking my swelling belly. My dear young Marquis, your Marquis Manor was so set on scheming to seize a widow's inheritance. Never thought you'd be the ones left with nothing instead, did you? After burning Li Liang, I scattered his ashes. That Su Qian did say one thing right. I never fight over whether you have me in your heart, because I don't give a damn. Here is what destroys me. Shri Rushuang never played the pick-me game, while everyone expected her to cry, beg, or compete for a trash man's love, she said. I don't give a damn. And meant it. She had military achievements, wealth, and power. Why would she grovel? The real satisfaction, watching a family that tried to exploit an orphan girl realize too late she was never the victim. She was the hunter. They wanted her inheritance. She took their son, their dignity, and their future. The mistress wanted the main wife's position. Enjoy the frontier. Sis. And that final twist. Pregnant with someone else's child while the whole family celebrates thinking it is their heir. That is not revenge. That is poetry. She didn't just win, she erased them from existence, while they thanked her for it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't moving on, it is making sure they regret everything while thinking they won.